everyone, it's Kelly here. Welcome to my channel if this is your first time. Welcome back if you've been before. Lovely to have you either way. On this channel we talk books, and today I am bringing you a book haul from the month of January. Now you might be thinking, Kelly, you already gave us a book haul from your holidays. And yes, I did. That is true. This is the other stuff that I didn't get on the holiday. A couple of things I've gotten more recently, like maybe 2 or 3 more books, but four books came after the holiday, but the rest is from before the holiday, but still in the month of January. Hopefully that clears things up. I am not well. By the time you're watching this, hopefully I'm going to be fine. I've just got a cold, I'm home sick. This is the second video I'm filming today on the day I am home sick, on the Monday. But I've changed my outfit and my earrings to fool you, and then I've just told you what's happened. Okay, never mind. Don't even stress about it. Pretend I didn't say that. Alright, let's talk about the books that I picked up in the month of January that were not from my holiday. We're going to start with a couple of classics. We always start with the new books, and then we move on to the second-hand books. Now, unusually, the new book pile is bigger than the thrifted book pile, but if you take into account the holiday books, which were all thrifted, there were no new books in that haul, then it makes more sense. So let's talk about them. So the first book that I picked up, it's actually the most recent book. It's not the first book. It's the first book I'm showing you. The most recent book that I have brought into my library is Willowes by Sylvia Townsend Warner. I was influenced by Leandra from Leandra and the TBR0. Anyway, her channel. She was talking about this book because she was looking at books that were published 100 years ago, and this was one of the ones that she mentioned that she was interested in reading, and I hadn't heard of it before, and I found this really cute copy, which is part of the little mini Penguin Classics, which I only have one other of these, but anyway, I decided to get it. It's very short, and the pages are quite small. Text is not tiny, so just a normal size text. Let's see how many pages. Just over 200, so it's 202 pages long, but they're like little pages. So it's a short classic, and I'm really looking forward to reading this one. Does it have a synopsis here? It does not. It just kind of goes right on into it. Let's grab one off the story graph then. Okay, so in Willowes, Sylvia Townsend Warner tells of an aging spinster's struggle to break away from her controlling family. So remember, this was published 100 years ago. I would never use the word spinster to describe a single person who is a little bit older, but I'm assuming that's what they mean. A classic story that she treats with cool feminist intelligence while adding a dimension of the supernatural and strange. Warner is one of the outstanding and indispensable mavericks of 20th century literature, a writer to set beside Juna Barnes and Jane Bowles, with a subversive genius that anticipates the fantastic flights of such contemporaries as Angela Carter and Jeanette Winterson. Yeah, I think the other thing that Leandra mentioned when she was talking about this book was that it this woman kind of connects with like nature, and I think it gets a little bit witchy. So yeah, I'm excited to get to this one. It sounds really good, and I like the idea of reading a book that is 100 years old. I have actually done that before, probably I think it was before I started BookTube, but in 2021. Is that before I started BookTube? Anyway, I read I read 5 books that were 100 years old in that year, and I discovered some corkers from it, so it was a really good project. I really enjoyed it. I also read a book that I really disliked, so it's a mixed bag, but yeah, I'm interested to read this one, and hopefully I'll be able to pick it up soon. The next book I actually already own 2 copies of, and I haven't read, so why I decided to do this, to buy this one, who knows, but it is I Capture the Castle by Dodie Smith. It's a book that I'm intending to read this year, and in fact it was a book that I had considered reading and brought with me on my holiday. I didn't get to it in January, but I'm hoping to get to it very soon. I've seen the film version of this. One of the copies I have of it is a film tie-in edition, which I will pass on. I don't need to have that. And then the other one is one of the like little Macmillans, which would have been the one I held up when I was talking about it earlier in January, I think. Anyway, I Capture the Castle is a story about a girl whose family live in a dilapidated castle, like an old castle. And her father's an author. He is, his partner is not her biological mother, I don't think, but she's an artist. It's all sort of very like, they're kind of treating it as being a romantic thing. She's a little bit more practical about it. And yeah, it's sort of it's told like it's a journal, I believe. So yeah, I am looking forward to reading it. I really enjoyed the film when I saw it. I've watched it a couple of times a long time ago, but really enjoyed it at the time. The reason I bought this edition, I saw this while I was at the Art Gallery of New South Wales, which I'll talk a little bit more about later because I did buy a book there. I didn't buy it there because the price they had it at was really high, but I sought out this edition because I thought it was really beautiful. And this is a Vintage Classics edition. So yeah, I'm really pleased to have this. I think it's lovely. The text is nice and big, which will be much nicer to read from than the tiny Macmillan with the smaller text. So I'm going to read from this edition. And it will be this year. But did I need to have multiple editions of this book that I haven't even read? We're just going to move. We're going to move on. The next book that I picked up was Our Hideous Progeny by C.E. McGill. I do not remember who I heard talking about this one, but it sounded really interesting, so I picked it up. It says, Mary is the great niece of Victor Frankenstein. She knows her great uncle disappeared in mysterious circumstances in the Arctic, but she doesn't know why or how. The 1850s are a time of discovery, and London is ablaze with the latest scientific debates. Mary, with a sharp mind and a sharper tongue, is keen to make her name in this new world, but as a woman, her options are limited. So when she discovers some old family papers that allude to the shocking truth behind her great-uncle's past, she thinks she may have found the key to securing her future. But that ambition will come at a cost, especially when a deadly rival sets out to steal her secret. Sounds great. I'm excited. I'm on board. Another book that I picked up is this one called A Book Untitled by Shushan Avagyan, and it is translated by Deanna Cachoian-Schanz. This was a book that we were considering in my Reading Around the World book club for what country? Armenia. So this is an Armenian writer, and this is not the book that ultimately won. I will tell you about that one when I wrap up in February, because that's when I'm intending to finish it. But I picked this one up as well because it sounded really good, and also it was part of the what is the name of the Tilted Access series, which I've spoken about before on this channel. I discovered them also through my rather well reading challenge. Another book that was not one that we picked, but I discovered Tilted Access from reading a book from a Chinese author, and I was really excited to see, because at the back of the book they have this little spiel, and these guys are fantastic. They're very translator focused, and they do a lot of work to make sure that translators are getting well paid and getting good acknowledgement. You'll see that the translator's name is written on the front. That's not always the case. So yeah, I have a great respect for these guys as a publisher, because this was one of their titles and it sounded interesting to me, I decided to pick it up. So it says, what is history undocumented? How do we Archive Censored Lives, a poetic reflection on authorship and erasure. A book untitled is an intimate and innovative approach to autofiction and the act of remembering. In her first novel, Armenian writer Shushan Avagyan, apologies, I'm sure I'm not saying that correctly, tells the story of a fictional encounter between two early 20th century pioneers of feminist literature, also names that I'm going to mispronounce, unfortunately, I'm so sorry, Shushanik Kurginian and Zabel Yesayan, and whose legacies have been obscured in Armenian history. Their fictive meeting is interspersed with conversations between the author and her friend Lara, who are researching the work of these two authors. While sifting through censored documents, unpublished works, and unfinished drafts, they linger in speculation and piece together lives that have been overshadowed by the Tsarist and Stalinist regimes, which sounds fantastic, so I'm very excited to read that one at some point. It sounds really good. The next book, we're moving into some non-fiction now, so these are still the brand new books. The next one I picked up is Not Quite White in the Head by Melissa Lucashenko. I will auto-buy anything that Melissa Lucashenko writes because every time I've read anything by her, I have had the best time. This is an essay collection, and I used a voucher from a bookstore that I got for my birthday. I didn't include this in my birthday haul because I didn't have, I hadn't received that gift voucher at that time, but I have since received it and already spent it on this book, which I was very excited to get because this is one I've had on my wish list for since it came out, basically. So it says, Melissa Lucashenko is one of our most admired and awarded novelists. She is renowned for writing about ordinary Australians and the extraordinary lives they lead. This timely collection of essays and journalism, published together for the first time, spans 2 turbulent decades. With her trademark wit and wisdom, Lucashenko reflects on being caught in a siege, on the marginalised lives of prisoners and the urban poor, on black identity, Australian literature, and on meeting her writing idol. Her non-fiction, like her novels, is deeply engaged with politics, activism, culture, and social injustice. So yeah, this is fabulous. I'm so excited to read that one. The next book that I picked up, I also got from the same bookshop. This was in their it is a new book, but it was up in their second-hand section. They have sort of, I would call them maybe remainders, so they mark the price down. So this is a brand new book, but it was a remaindered book, I guess, so it was a lot cheaper than it probably should have been. This is The Other Side, A Journey into Women, Art and the Spirit World by Jennifer Higgie. I have previously purchased another book about art by Jennifer Higgie. Haven't yet read it. Actually, that was, I used a voucher that I'd gotten for my birthday from the same people that gave me the voucher that I used to spend this one at the same bookstore. And I still haven't read that book, so I probably should get onto that. But this is, I just saw this and was like, yes, please. And it was probably about half the price that it otherwise would have been, which seemed like a good deal to me. It says, it's not so long ago that a woman's expressed interest in other realms would have ruined her reputation or even killed her, and yet spiritualism in various incarnations has influenced numerous men, including lauded modernist artists such as Kandinsky, Mondrian, Malevich, and Paul Klee, without repercussion. The fact that so many radical women artists of their generation and earlier also drank deeply from the same spiritual well has for too long been sorely neglected. In The Other Side, we explore the lives and work of a group of extraordinary women, from the 12th century mystic, composer and artist Hildegard of Bingen to the 19th century English spiritualist Georgiana Houghton, whose paintings swirl like a cosmic Jackson Pollock. The early 20th century Swedish artist Hilma af Klint, who painted with the help of her spirit guides and whose recent exhibition at New York's Guggenheim broke all attendance records. The desert transcendentalist Agnes Pelton, who painted her visions beneath the vast skies of California. The Swiss healer Emma Kuntz, who used geometric drawings to treat her patients. And the British surrealist and occultist Ethel Colquhoun, I don't think I'm saying that right, apologies, whose estate of more than 5,000 works recently entered the Tate Gallery collection. While the individual work of these artists is unique, the women loosely shared the same goal, to communicate with and learn from other dimensions. So this sounds super interesting, and I'm unapologetically very excited to read it. The last book that I picked up new, and I'll just scoot these other new books out of the way, is this one. And this is called Paris to Monaro, Pleasures from the Studio of Hilda Rix Nicholas. I recently attended the Dangerously Modern exhibition at the Art Gallery of New South Wales, and one of the artists whose work I have been appreciating for some time now, but I haven't done a deep dive on, is Hilda Rix Nicholas, and I was very keen when I saw this in the gallery store to, to pick it up and to explore more about this artist directly. Here's an example of one of her paintings. So as you can see, she's got a really beautiful style, and she does really lovely things with light, which is something I am incredibly interested in my art. So I'm very excited to have this in my collection now and to be able to peruse it. I don't know if I will read it cover to cover, but I might. More likely I will just look at the pictures and dip in and out of the writing part of it, so we'll see. Okay, moving into the second-hand portion of this video, and I'm going to do this very quickly because I don't have very many minutes of filming left on my camera. I picked up a second-hand copy of H is for Hawk by Helen MacDonald. A keen-eyed observer will know that I already have a copy of this book, but I like this one's prettier, so I'm going to donate that other one, and I'm going to keep this one because I think it's lovely. This is a non-fiction book, and it's about a woman who is determined to become a falconer, and she gets obsessed with the idea of training her own goshawk, and then does that. So yeah, very excited to have that very beautiful copy in my collection. That's it for non-fiction. Moving into another classic though, I picked up a copy of The Day of the Triffids by John Wyndham. This is a book I have heard much about but have never read before, so I'm very interested to get to it at some point. So this is basically what I understand this book to be is about how kind of like, or Triffids, mobile plants with lethal stingers and carnivorous appetites. It's like a post-apocalyptic kind of world, and these plants are trying to kill everybody. Sounds great. That's my understanding of what the book's about. Please correct me if I'm wrong. I also picked up a poetry collection called Figs by Kate Llewellyn. I don't know anything about her, but she's an Australian poet, and the back tells me she has written a couple of different poetry collections in the past, and there's probably even more, but I sort of did a quick dive and was like, yep, this seems up my alley in terms of the style, so I picked that one up. Okay, 2 more to go. I picked up a copy of Long Island by Colm Tóibín. I have a copy of Brooklyn, and I've been looking for a copy of Long Island to go with it because I believe this is the sequel. So Brooklyn I think comes first and then this one. Yeah. So I won't give you the synopsis, I'm running out of time, but I'm excited to have the second book. And the last one that I picked up is called Mother Tongue by Naima Brown. This cover is delightful. Let me see what it's about. What if being true to yourself means hurting everyone around you? Bryn is a claustrophobic suburban mother on the brink. Eric, her husband, is transforming in dark and dangerous ways. Their daughter Jenny can't fathom the storm barreling towards her. When Bryn awakes from a coma speaking fluent French, she seizes the opportunity to start a new life in Paris, a seismic personal transformation that leaves a slew of shattered lives in its wake. So that sounds very interesting. Okay, that's it. That's the haul. Thank you very much for watching this video. I hope you've enjoyed it, and I will catch you on the next one. Bye.